Hello, everyone. This is Will.
This is Alex.
Welcome back to another episode of They Mostly Come Out at Night.
Oh boy. Mostly.
I I know I've said this before on this podcast. I don't know what I was expecting tonight, but my expectations were fucking blown out of the water.
Yeah.
Just completely, just annihilated.
It's definitely a good start to October.
Yeah, like this is a really great way to start October. If you like B movies and B horror movies, like you should add this to your wheelhouse in October.
If you like entertainment.
This has entertainment. A supernatural slasher film.
Yeah. I mean, this thing is so quick.
It was kind of funny because we were talking about how some slashers have like that element of supernatural to them, and
Yeah.
there's like, like Nightmare on Elm Street or Friday the 13th. There's like that element of supernatural, but like that's just to kind of explain why they're there.
Yeah.
But then nothing else is explained, and they just go.
Yeah.
This is like that's this movie.
Yeah. This is like that, but it leans even more heavily into that.
Yeah, into the supernatural because like you get a lot of weird shit happening,
And the movie, I mean, it's literally called Superstition.
but it is not technically. I mean, technically, it's a slasher film because people die a
Going
lot.
by pure body count alone, this is a slasher.
Mm-hmm. Has almost what 10? The body count's almost 10.
I lost count. I stopped counting at some point because
They just
everyone dies.
Yeah.
Everyone gets wrecked. This movie just wrecks people over and over and over.
This movie does not give a single fuck about anyone.
It's shameless and I love it.
It's just like you like this character, fuck you. You like this character, fuck you. You think this character is gonna survive? Fuck you.
Oh, fuck you. Oh, you wanted this person to live? You thought they'd live? Fuck off.
I mean, to be honest, there's like literally one person at the very end that lives.
3. But they're not
Oh,
important.
I mean, one if you count the last one standing.
Yeah. 2, I guess.
Yeah.
Because the woman
Mm-hmm.
who delivered our our line
It's our caption for the
of the
entire
episode.
You've doomed us all, churchman.
How fitting.
How fitting, because that's basically what the movie is. A
It's funny 'cause
churchman
it's like-
dooms everyone.
People were already doomed as the movie started,
Yeah,
but then they got
then
more doomed.
He fucks something up, and like literally the entire movie is fucked from that point on.
It's funny because technically it's not even his fault because he wasn't the one who found the thing, the cross, in the lake, but he took it.
Well, okay. Well, there's a scene where they like tried draining a lake. We'll get to it, but he technically took it. Like they found it in this thing.
Like, oh, look at this.
And he's like, "Oh, well, this is cool.
I'll keep it.
I'll keep it." It's like, well, this is the biggest fucking mistake of your goddamn life.
Doomed.
You fucking doomed everyone by taking a cross
Oh, God.
because he wanted a big shiny cross. He fucked everyone over,
Yeah.
including himself. He played himself. But anyway, before we get into too much of the film, I just had to go on a tangent about that, but just remember we're on every platform. Wherever you find podcasts, we're there.
We're also on YouTube.
Go to our YouTube. We're on Twitter, Instagram, although I need to be better about posting, and we're on Facebook as well. So
We're everywhere.
socials, we got all the socials, we got all the podcast sites, and we got YouTube. So
Wherever you hear
you
this,
can find us wherever.
give us a follow,
Give us
subscribe,
a subscribe,
whatever.
a follow, maybe a review. That would be nice. We don't have any reviews on any websites yet, so
Not
I mean,
really.
if you want to be a number one to review us, even if it's a 1-star,
If you got a request,
you know what? That'd be perfect. A request. We are on socials all the time, so if you want to request something, please do.
if there's something that you think we missed,
Give us
please.
a little tidbit,
Yeah.
We'd like to build this community, and yeah, because we just want to talk about shitty movies. And like, movies that we love too, because like we found a lot of them on this podcast. So
including today's
including
film.
this one. This is actually like really good.
I
It is
love this
so entertaining. It is so entertaining. I love this movie. But yeah, so just wanted to say that. Let's get on with
Superstition.
So movie starts out with
A dude trying to get his Mac on.
yeah. So it's a of course. I was talking about this. I think it's an interesting thing they do in horror movies. I mean, I love it, but like it's always the douchebag jock dudes like trying to get their Mac on, but they think it's like super romantic to drive to this like super haunted place that the woman does not want to go to. Like that's like gonna like just increase their odds.
It's
of
supposed to
getting
be
laid.
like this abandoned house thing.
Like in what universe, real universe, would that ever get you laid?
Well, to be fair,
Let's scare the shit out of my date,
our
and
cop
then I'll get laid.
later admits that he got his first hoochie coochie.
Yeah, okay, but it's like this weird, decrepit, old, creepy house, and everyone's just getting laid in front of it.
Everyone goes there to get
And
laid because they're supposed to be
I just don't understand.
no one.
Like again, I get that this is just like me going off on a tangent, but I don't understand in horror movies how jocks think that is a good idea.
Because apparently in this town,
But I mean, it makes sense in the confines of a horror movie because you need some spooky shit to happen, right?
well, apparently in this town, that is the only spot.
And of course, in horror movies, sex bad.
There's no like,
If you get laid in a horror movie, you're gonna die.
well, he didn't even get laid.
Well,
They got off.
If you try and get laid,
Lucky.
yeah, well,
though.
they do survive. So anyway, they're trying to get their Mac on, and they're like, "Well, what about the groundskeeper? Won't she see?"
And the guy's
he's
like, oh, whatever.
he's like, "Whatever." So like you see like you see the estate, and then you see this little tiny like shack, and a woman steps out of it, and then
Just watching.
is just watching, and then all of a sudden like something comes out of the trees, and it's like a head. But you can obviously tell it's like
It looks like a haunted house prop.
Like yeah, a prop. And they scream and they like floor it to reverse, and then like another one drops
And hits
then
the roof of the car.
hits the roof of the car, and then like they drive off. So we get a dude coming out of the bushes, and he's all laughing. He's having a awesome time.
And like his friend is in the like abandoned house, and he's like yelling. He's like, "That was the best
That was
one
the
yet."
best one yet. And the guy's like, I'm gonna come, like, let's like meet up, because they're gonna leave, obviously.
But
so the guy's like going down.
it's funny because like I just picture these dudes like going there and trying to scare the shit out of everyone who tries to get their Mac on.
I mean,
Props to them.
from how much
Because he does say like,
from how much I hate this trope in horror movies, I'd probably be one of those dudes.
well, because he even says like that was the best one yet.
Yeah, so they've done it before.
Good for them.
But for some reason, the house decides to like be like, okay, this is the best one yet. You got your big banger out. Now you're fucking dead.
You got your banger right
So-
now. It's over.
It's over. Like your
'Cause-
fun is over. Here you fucking go. Because the guy is like walking down the stairs and everything. He keeps hearing creepy noises. Like there's a can that's like dropping down the stairs, and then he's like calling out to his friend, who's like still like coming up to the house, and he like turns around because he hears something in the door like slam.
The door to go outside.
It doesn't slam shut, but it like slowly closes.
It's the door to go outside.
And he's trying to get out, and he can't get out, so he goes to like the kitchen area, and he's like looking around, and then he sees this microwave, right?
And it turns on.
And it turns on, and the door opens, and then like the screen shakes, and he just gets launched up on the ceiling, smacks his head on the ceiling, and then falls down, and then it jumps to the
It almost
friend.
implies that like it slammed him so hard that it like broke his neck or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then it cuts to the other guy who's like outside, and he's like, "Hey, like, do you hear me?" And then we see that door that was previously closed
It opens back up.
just in time for the guy to come through.
So the
He's
guy
looking around.
he walks around. He walks into like an empty room. There's a window that like is
It's like boarded up, and then the boards fall away.
yeah, and the window like opens, and he like looks out, and he thinks maybe the guy went out there, but he isn't. And then he doesn't close the window, right?
No, he doesn't.
Okay, so he goes out, And then he goes into the kitchen, and
He's looking around, and it's like the same.
well, he sees. I forgot to mention the friend sees like a knife in the wall,
Yeah, and it's just like, yeah,
and is like
whatever.
all creeped out by it. So the guy looks at the knife in the wall, not noticing what's clearly right there because we see it later, but he like looks directly at the microwave again, and we see something is in it.
It's not, the microwave's not turned on yet, but there's an outline of something in the microwave.
I
A nice
mean,
pizza, if you will.
if you have a keen eye, you already know what this is. It's a horror movie, you know what is in the microwave.
If you're in the know, you know.
Like you can easily guess what's in that fucking microwave.
And that's great.
And it's awesome because the microwave turns on and it's his friend's head and the door opens again and it's still microwaving his head and then his head just like pops.
It explodes.
Like just brain matter and blood go like everywhere.
And the friend freaks out, and we get the fucking Castlevania Sega Saturn music, and I
Dude,
love it.
This soundtrack is pretty lit because
I love it.
It's like it's almost like chiptune. Like
It's, if you've played like the old like Castlevania games on like Super Nintendo and Sega, it's like that kind of like horror chiptune synth.
it's pretty awesome. Actually,
It's great.
I'm not gonna lie. It like fit the tone of this movie.
It's
so
fantastic.
well. So he goes into that room where the window was, and the window's shut now. But then the top like slides down, and he's like, "Okay, I'm gonna crawl through the top of it." So he like gets halfway through, and the window just slams up on his body. And he's like, and like it literally severs his body in half.
Yeah, we see his feet fall in the house, his severed feet, and then his severed body just tumbles down the building, and he dies.
Yep,
And that's how the movie
he,
opens.
Crawls along the ground for a minute and then dies.
That's how the movie opens.
Yeah.
The next scene is like, it's like a church office thing,
We
and
get a priest smoking.
a priest smoking, and his like older, I don't know, it's like an older priest, and then these like two cops come in, and they're like talking about how, hey, like, they basically tell them, you guys are the owners of this property.
Yeah, like you have to clean it up, and or else we're gonna foreclose on it
And
they're
demolish
like-
it.
Well, they're like, well, no, we're gonna put another priest in there with his family. Well, not
Yeah.
a priest, because a priest, yeah, it's like another member of the parish, with his family in there.
Like, we're gonna clean it up and put him in there, because otherwise, the cop tells them, like, if you don't, like, we're gonna the city's gonna take it and demolish it, because there's been a lot of.
Well, I think they're like somewhat trying to rehabilitate this
Mm.
guy because he's like an alcoholic and he has a lot of problems. And they're like, so they're putting his family in there so they can have like a.
Because you made a comment like, oh, like, isn't he already supposed to be here?
When he's like, oh, I heard it takes him a while to dry up.
Yeah.
So
And
he has a problem, and they're gonna house him there while they figure out what to do with the property, and so they go to fix it up.
but the cop wants to, the city, they just want to demolish it because there's all these problems
I
there.
also love this detective because literally no matter what's going on, he just hangs out at this property, no matter what. He's always there.
He just wants to see what happens.
I love that he's a detective that literally his only job is just to see what happens.
Well, because this whole thing is like, oh, like, there's all this like bad history, and like people always go there to make out, but now there's two dead kids.
Well, because there is a couple time skips.
Yeah.
But like they're not like
Huge.
it doesn't say when they are or whatever. It's like just a few weeks here
Yeah.
and there. It's never years. But we know that the detective comes by a lot. And he's always there when the other priest is there. So they go to clean it up, and they drive to the property, and they're looking around, and they're
Also,
trying...
the detective is suspecting that it's the caretaker, the woman, who's there in the shack, that her son is he killed the two kids in the beginning.
Right, because he's like...
He's a mute.
He's a mute, and he's kind of just odd, and he doesn't really trust the son because they don't know anything about him.
So he thinks that he killed the kids, and he goes with them when they're like cleaning up the place.
So they're cleaning up the place. They're going around and like seeing what's going on with it, and then all of a sudden the son like spooks the priest guy and just runs out of the building.
And then as he's running,
I love the detective.
the shot of them like in the
They
bushes,
just pop out of the bushes, like.
and the guy's like, "Go get him."
Mm-hmm. And so the one detective guy goes after the son,
And just watches him from the bushes as he like kind of like plays with the water. There's a lake on the property.
and he's like shuffling around the water, and then he like runs off, and the detective like goes to where he looks and doesn't see anything, and then he walks along the dock.
And his all of his fucking coins
Drop out of his like the sleeve of his pants.
as you do, I guess.
I mean, that's a little odd, but like I'd be like, what the fuck? Why did they?
And then he bends down to pick him up, and a fucking hand just comes up and grabs his tie and pulls him in the water. And then it's like immediately the detective's like, I knew it. I knew it. That goddamn kid he got him.
So they're like inspecting the water, and they're like, they're like detaining the kid because they found him in the woods, and not the kid, the son, and the priest is like, well, like, don't worry, we're gonna drain the swamp, and the son freaks out, like punches one of the
And just
detectives,
knocks them all out.
and then like runs away.
It's also, I want to mention, they also mention how like the son, like, they also say is weird because he also talks about how like he takes care of the mistress of the house.
Yes.
Whatever that means, as you
Well, because when they talk to the old woman, she says that like the mistress is his like like it like has dominion over him, and like he only listens to her.
He only listens to the mistress of the house, whoever that may be.
And we learn that the mom is kind of detached from the son, and she kind of just looks over the house, but she can't go in the house because she's like not welcome.
Yeah.
Because we even say like that. That's one of the next scenes is like the new member of the parish moving in.
Well, no, the next scene is actually there. We get a quick thing.
Where they're okay, yeah, where he's like painting, right?
Yeah, and
yeah, he's like cleaning like off a paint roller,
and he meets a girl.
I can't remember her name. Mary, that's right.
And it's just a little girl, and her name is Mary, and like she doesn't say much, but he kind of just assumes, oh, maybe she's with like one of the workers because there's a bunch of like workers around there.
Working all over.
And the older priest calls him over, and he's like, I think because of all this stuff that's happened here, we should like cleanse the house, bless the house. And immediately they go into a room, and there's a guy with like a table saw.
It's wild. So he's like sawing like a piece of wood, and I'm like, oh, foreshadowing. But instead of foreshadowing,
well, you said foreshadowing, and literally like 2 seconds later,
the saw blade like pops off the fucking radial saw, jumps on the ground, spins into the fucking priest, slams him to a chair, and saws through him. Through
him and the chair, and falls out the other side.
Like, no build up, no like suspense. It just happens. It just goes.
End scene.
Yes.
Then the family's moving in.
Yes. So the family's moving in, and then so this is when the other priest says like, this is when one guy says that the woman says she's not welcome in the house, and so we get them all moving in, and like we get some guy like inspecting the elevator.
Well, first they're like moving in, and the main character priest is standing outside with a detective who's just hanging around because they're like on and off looking for the son of the caretaker because they think he's like responsible for the other cop missing. But he just kind of mentions like, oh yeah, I'm sorry about what happened to like your
And the guy was like, well,
yeah,
like,
it was
listen,
a freak accident.
He's like, listen, I've seen a lot of deaths and everything, but like this guy was a good guy, and this was like one of the worst I've seen.
There was something like wrong about it.
Yeah.
And then there's
a guy like inspecting, like there's a shaft, like an elevator shaft
in the basement,
and he hears a noise, and I guess it's one of the workers that's still working on everything, and he hears a noise, and he like crawls into this like weird space and like looks down, can't see anything. And he gets like dragged up by like claws,
a demon hand,
and then just just gets swung from like side to side, slammed into the walls, and then like hung.
on the like the elevator
like
wire
cord,
thing.
yeah, cord.
It hangs him, and we get a shot of like a dummy swinging back and forth, and I love it.
Well, then it's like
Absolutely
slowly uncoils from his neck slowly uncoils from the thing and
Yeah.
like drops to the
Just
ground.
drops him down to the ground. It's just and then like the next thing is like all the workers are leaving, the house is ready, and then one of them's like, "Hey, did you see so and so? He said he was going to work on the elevator." They're like, "No, we didn't see him.
Yeah, he probably just left on the
I
truck.
probably left before us." Okay.
Yeah.
And then they drive away.
So now the movie kind of calms down for a minute because we don't get many deaths for like probably about 20 minutes.
Before
Because they got to
this,
do some.
I don't know at what, I don't remember at what point. I think it's like around now or a little before this that they drag, or they sort of drag the lake.
Yeah. So okay. Yeah. This is when they're gonna drain the lake because they say that they're gonna drain the lake and then
They find
like a big ass cross.
yeah.
And the priest doesn't know what to do about it. This was before.
Yeah.
We forgot to mention this because it's when they mention that they have to drain the lake that they try, but the pipes keep getting like something in them.
They don't work.
They don't work. And so he finds this big ass cross and he decides to take it and investigate it when like what it is. He's like fascinated by it. Our main priest guy. And so
He just kind of leaves it alone.
after this, we get the scene where they're swimming in the pond.
Because they're all moved in. They're all the son, the little son of the family, the new family meets Mary, and
Oh, that's right, yeah.
like again, it's just like she's just kind of off. But
She's like, did I scare you? And he's like, no, I wasn't
and she's
scared.
like, I bet I did. Which
And the
fitting.
kid like walks in on his dad like drinking, so obviously he still has a problem.
yeah,
And then they're all swimming at the lake, and like
the priest is there like supervising them, and like there's like the guy's daughters and like bikinis and stuff, and the fucking cop is just like, remember the good book. There's also scenes before this where he like talks to him. He's like, all you men of the cloth, like none of you have a sense of humor.
yeah.
Like at this point, he's just hanging around the house just to see the shenanigans that happen, and to like,
Honestly, the detective is probably my favorite character.
yeah, just to be
because
sassy.
He's like a sassy observer.
Yeah, that's all
That's
he does.
all he does is just observe and be sassy.
Yeah.
And I can appreciate that.
He mentions like a quick thing about how there is also like a previous family of 3, and like all this horrible stuff happened to
Like
them.
one of them got like ripped apart,
Yeah.
literally ripped apart. And so one of the daughters goes swimming, and she's like swimming around, and then she like feels something on her foot and like starts getting dragged under.
Yeah.
So the priest like goes to save her and like pulls her out, and when she gets out, there's a
hand
bloated hand like holding onto her ankle.
that's been like ripped off. Yeah.
He's like, I told you it was I told
Yeah.
you
At that.
it
Yeah.
down there.
Yeah. At
Of
that
course,
point,
the sassy detective has
like,
something
I
to
knew
say.
it.
I knew it.
I told you. And then they're still like talking to them like, when are you gonna like get around to like actually draining this thing?
He's like,
so we can see what
he's
the
like,
hell's in
your
it.
cheap pumps don't work or whatever.
Yeah, like he's like, I figure with all the church money you have, you could actually afford some decent pumps. But the daughter's like passed out in bed.
Yeah.
And of course, dad is drinking more and more. And then the daughter sees she's like in bed, and she sees Mary again.
She sees Mary, but it's like Mary, but she's cloaked in like fog.
So you don't see her face at
And
this
she's
point.
like, you can barely hear her. And then you see like this vision of all the people dying, and then like stakes, like bloody stakes being driven into the ceiling.
Yeah, and
like
then
through the ceiling, because you see the spikes coming through and they're dripping with blood.
you also see a shot that's on screen for like, I swear to God, like 3 seconds of like someone threw a Jesus statue in like a pool of water,
Yeah,
and then like it getting like fire everywhere, which
kind of makes sense now.
and then of course she wakes up. She's like screaming about the nails in the ceiling.
Well,
There's
and she's
nothing
like, I
there.
swear I saw him and everything, and they just think she's kind of just needs to rest.
Yeah.
And so at this point, the little boy, he grabs some cookies. He has a little cookie jar. He grabs some cookies, and then he like cleans out a little cup and gets himself some milk.
And then a door opens.
Yep. So he's like, "Oh, I'll go inspect it." And I was like, "Are you serious? Like the first like family death is gonna be like the little kid?"
Well,
Well,
yeah,
yeah, I was right.
because he goes and he finds the elevator shaft.
Because he goes downstairs, finds the elevator shaft because there's like a little like roller blade in it, and he wants it. And so he goes in and out of the elevator shaft and thinks it's really cool, and goes back to pick up the roller blade.
And a drop of blood.
And a drops of blood, and he sees the guy that got hung. And he's like, oh, like he drops his milk, and then like a claw thing like comes and like picks him up.
And then you see like
Blood
his
dripping on the milk.
Yeah, on his destroyed milk glass.
Yes.
And then around this time, because they keep like talking, there's scenes on and off of them talking to the old caretaker lady, and she's just talking super cryptic. But we do get a scene where the main character priest is talking to her, and she's just like, "You've doomed us all, churchman."
She's like, when you took that cross from the pond, now she can roam whenever she wants.
She would only roam at night, but now because of that, like she can roam whenever she wants, and just very like cryptic.
Yes.
But now you know in your head, shit's going down.
Yeah,
because
and the church boy done fucked up.
The dad tells like the detective who's just hanging around that the kid's missing, so they look around.
They go around the grounds, everything, and then like the detective notices that there's like a hollow wall.
Well, they go downstairs and they find the
Milk.
Milk and the blood,
So
and then he sees that they're part of the wall is hollow, and like with how the house is laid out, it's like there's an extra room.
So it's like, so some other stuff, some like kind of insignificant stuff happens, and then the next scene is like the detective digging around, because it's just more family stuff. Like the one daughter thinks that the father's like a total coward because he won't do anything to help find his son. He's like
drinking.
Well, he just gives up too at a certain point, like looking for the son. And like the one daughter is like really pissed off at him.
Yeah, and then the mom is like insisting that like she's gonna go look. The main guy, because the caretaker told him like go like look in your records.
Yeah, because at this point, the search is on for the kid, and then the priest goes to look at like what is going on with like the deaths surrounding this place
and the history of it, because the caretaker tells him like look under like this parish or whatever.
Yeah.
And he goes, finds like an old record book with like their archives, and starts looking through it. And we get a flashback.
So we get a flashback of like all these like
1692, I think.
Yeah, all these like people yelling at like a cave, and then we get inside the cave. They're all dressed in like colonial gear.
Yeah.
And
there's a woman tied up,
and the priest is like saying all this stuff, and she's like speaking all this demonic shit.
Like her voice keeps morphing into a demon voice.
He's like, I don't have the strength to burn you, but we will drown you in the lake.
And he, of course, has the big old fucking cross.
Yep. So they carry her to the lake and like haul her upright. And so she's up there, and like her like face starts bubbling,
and she's like cursing all of them.
She's like, whoever walks around these grounds will always be cursed and everything, and you'll all die. Everyone that is hearing me now will die.
Yeah.
And all your ancestors will die. You know, like just typical witch curse.
That's great. It's great.
So he's like, chop it, and they chop the fucking wood. She falls in. It like geysers up for a minute. And
well, because he's like, God, like seal this woman, and he throws the giant cross in there.
Yes.
And yeah, it bubbles up, and then the guy like is still reading, and it like mentions in the archive like, oh, that like that they see the church is on fire.
Yes. And so it burns down, and he keeps reading how, like, just, like, really bad shit started happening on that land.
To and to all the people
Like,
involved.
everyone died. Everyone, like, got, like famine, and all this shit happened.
And then we get another flashback
and the priest is, like, praying for all their souls because he doesn't know, because it's, like, a rebuilt church on the same grounds.
And he's, like, older now.
Yep. And he's praying, and, like, all the candles start going out.
And they hear the laughter of the fucking witch. And he, like,
reaches out to, like, the Jesus thing, and, like, it falls off the crucifix. And he goes to the window, and, like, the, like, curtains are blowing while you hear the laughing, and all the candles light back up.
And then he runs to his fucking, like, wine storage.
Wine cellar.
Because
he's gonna get some, because I guess his communion wine was out.
I don't know
if he wanted to drink it. I mean, at that point, I probably would.
In my head, I was thinking at this point the dude wanted to go down there and just get fucking loaded.
Yeah.
Because he was just like, fucking Christ.
Yeah, he's like, oh my God.
I cannot deal with this anymore.
Fucking Christ is right. So
he goes down there and
goes there to get loaded.
Grabs a nice bottle. And then immediately,
and then all the corks start, like, popping off, and, like, wine's dumping everywhere. Because the fucking demon's
like, motherfucker, you don't get drunk on my watch.
And the door, like, closes and, like, locks. And then he goes to the other side.
And he hears, like, a scratching at the door.
Yeah. He goes to the other side, and then one of the bottles shatter.
Mm-hmm.
And he, like, starts, like, cowering in fear, and there's more scratching, and the lock, like, slowly unlocks. And then opens.
And then a demon hand
grabs him, forces him into where they smash the grapes,
and
just, like, spins this thing
and
on top
smashes
of this
him
guy.
instead.
Smashes him into, like, a bloody pulp, and you see blood running down, like,
where the wine would
come down.
And there you go. That's the flashback. And the guy is, like, immediately like, shit, I need to go back. And he has his cross laying on the fucking book, and the book lights on fire.
Yep. And he, like, puts it out, and then he's like, oh God, I need to go back.
And he goes, and he starts going back, and in the meantime...
so the detective finds, like a cellar door.
Yeah.
And there's, like, a little door there. So he goes back inside, and they bust out where the hollow room is. Mm. And they find out where the son has been hiding.
And there's also a body of
the elevator.
The guy repairing the elevator. Yeah.
So they go in there, and they find the elevator guy, and then there's, like, this curtain, and he, like, pulls it back, but the son, like, rushes them, and, like, gets shot in the arm, and then, like, doesn't kill a cop. He, like, cocks the shotgun, but doesn't kill him.
Yeah.
And then, the detective, like, pistol whips him.
And they arrest him, and he thinks everything's fine.
And the three cops just go away. So the two cops and then the son, they go off the movie.
And
They're
then
never to be seen again.
The detective's like, everything's fine now. The dad's still fucking upstairs cowering in fear. The detective is walking around there, and he is still, like, looking around. And... what the fuck? Oh yeah, he sees, like, this, like, green, like
goo stuff,
which you saw briefly earlier in the movie when they first came in there. It's almost like, I guess, ectoplasm, whatever the fuck you want to call it.
Yeah.
But he sees it, and the fucking body of the goddamn elevator man just gets, like, thrown at him, and then you see a shadow from the other side of the basement.
So he goes to inspect it,
and a fucking demon hand just clutches him
and, like, drags him up.
And he's gonzo.
So this is when the wife is like, well, I'm gonna go fucking look for our son because you're not doing anything. You're doing, like, jack shit. So she goes downstairs
the kitchen of doom.
Into the kitchen, of course, and just proceeds to, like, all the doors shut on her. And then she just proceeds to get yeeted around this fucking kitchen.
First, the doors get shut, and she's freaking out, and the dad is, like, slowly making his way downstairs as something starts, like...
Well, as the daughters are like, what are you doing? Go see what's up.
And something starts banging on the door, and we just see like the door like slowly come apart. It's like
Well, and you see the demon hands come through it. It's kind of a cool imagery because there's like a bright light behind it.
so you just see
and
the
then,
hands.
and you see these hands just like clawing and like
Yeah.
tearing this door apart.
And then of course it goes through the door, and like we get this like fucking POV shot of just like this camera just like running towards her.
Well, and she just like gets tossed to one end, and
then the camera runs towards her again,
and she gets tossed to the other end into the sink, and just fucking like.
and eventually
everywhere.
she's just bloody and everything.
Oh, we forgot to mention she does find the son.
Oh yeah, that's what starts it.
That's what starts it, yeah, because she goes in the closet and the son like hanging upside down, all bloody.
And you see a shadow coming.
Yes. So that's what starts it all, and then she like kind of disappears for a minute because the dad is trying to get into. He like breaking the door, like he's trying to he breaks a chair against the door. And
He tries to open the door, and then the priest shows up.
And realizes he can unlock the doors with the cross because.
Well, first, no, he shows up, and remember, he runs to the caretaker.
Oh right.
And is like, "Has it started?" And she's like, "Yes, it started. Like, don't like as long as you have your cross, you'll be protected." And so he goes up, and like the door is not opening, and then he like kind of like touches the cross against the door, and the door just lightly opens.
So he goes and like he's like walking through, and he sees an axe comes through, and it's the husband, like is like still freaking out,
and he's like, "There's like my wife, like she's in danger.
She's in the kitchen."
And so he again with his magical cross opens the door. They walk in because before we had a quick shot of like she was just like laying there like on like a table or something or on the floor, just like all bloody. And then we just saw like a demon hand like grab her face and like just drag her off.
So the kitchen's a total mess. So
but there's no body.
There's no body. So they go upstairs and they're gonna like try and save the daughters too. So
yeah.
They tell the daughters to go. They tell the daughters and the husband. Well, no. So I don't know how it happens, but what happens is the husband goes back into their main room. And starts locking himself in.
He just gives up. No, because remember, he sits on the stairs and has a fucking mental break.
Oh, that's right. While the priest goes and tries to save the two daughters.
He tries to save the two daughters. One of them gets distracted because she
has to like run back and get something.
She runs back to get something, and then a door opens, and she thinks it's
her mom.
No, she thinks it's the son.
Oh, right, the son. Yeah, the little kid.
Because at this point, she has no idea. And so they run downstairs, and the priest is there with one of the daughters, because the dad's just like out of it.
Well, so the priest is like, he's like, go through the door, and then I'll come back with the other two.
And then she's trying to open the door, and he's like halfway gone, and he just turns around like, God damn it, because the door won't open.
He gets like frustrated and just like uses the cross as an axe and is gonna like try and like get the door open. So he just like immediately touches.
This is some anime shit.
He touches the door with the cross like a hammer, and it just explodes out into the open. Like literally, the front door just explodes out front.
Yeah, in slow mo. It's
epic because he just fucking like tapped it like a fucking like.
Well, he didn't tap it. He was like hitting it with it, but man, it just
so
boom.
much like the force of Jesus Christ itself blew that fucking door open. Just
and then so the girl runs out, and the dad at this point has like he goes
he's totally lost it. So he goes up into the bedroom and like starts locking himself away in the bedroom,
and then he sees like a little outline of a person.
So he like uncovers it, and it's his wife just laying there,
and
all bloody and
also
like,
noticed
scratched up.
I don't know if you noticed, but when he sees the wife's body, her arm's missing.
Yeah,
it's just gone.
And then he starts seeing a shadow outside,
and it's like this like figure illuminated against the window.
So he's like desperately trying to move all the stuff out of the way to get like out of the room he just barricaded himself into.
And then he like looks in a mirror, and you see like a face behind him. It's like blurry, and then the mirror just explodes.
It explodes into his face, and then you see him laying on the ground and like just like a jugular, just like spraying blood.
Well, because you see like all the glass has basically like cut into him.
And it's face. Like pulsing, like a little like pulsing blood thing like keeps like popping up.
So that's gone.
So the daughter goes upstairs because she thinks the son is like playing tricks on her. So she goes upstairs, and like you just see this wooden stakes on the ground, and you're like, oh,
with
shit.
blood.
Yeah, with blood on them. And so she like trips, and like this thing gets on top of her, and like puts one of the stakes on her forehead.
With a big
And the priest is on his way up, and the thing just like nails this fucking like stake into her fucking brain
multiple times. Yeah.
And the priest gets there as like, and she's just obviously just fucking dead.
And then immediately, like, the fucking addict just goes cuckoo cachoo, because the fucking thing is just like there and like in like a cloak.
It's like in a witch cloak. You never see its face, which I like. You
Yeah.
only see its demon claws, which is actually pretty effective.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. Like the monster in this, I like how they never reveal what it like looks
What the
like.
fuck it is, yeah.
You just know it's like demonic.
And it's like
there's,
coming
like,
at him.
Paper like flying everywhere. There's like this it's kind of cool because the way they shadow it is like this huge like bright spotlight behind
Well, there's
it.
like this blue spotlight behind it every time it's on camera, and it's just like this outline with like these like hands on the side.
And you can clearly see the hands and like how elongated and like demonic they are, but you don't see anything else.
But it's like starts coming after him, and he like puts up the cross,
And it like can't get past the cross.
and then its other hand comes up, and he puts up the cross, and it blocks it.
Our idiot fucking priest decides to jump like
Well,
off the landing.
he's like running away, and he jumps off the landing and just tumbles down the
and it like
stairs.
shatters his like cross.
It shatters a little piece off of it, and the thing is just like coming down the landing with like all the fucking paper flying around and the
Well, and then
blue light.
he like finally gets the cross and holds it up, and then everything disappears.
Yeah, it all disappears, and then because one of the things mentioned earlier is like is the caretaker mentioned like ritual of fire.
Yeah, you have to do a ritual of fire, and like the lake is the only place that she can.
So he goes out, and at this point, I'm like, okay, everyone's
I'm
dead.
like, did he save literally anyone in this movie? And I thought maybe the daughter, but
He runs outside, and the car, he looks in, and it's all bloody, and he opens the fucking car door, and she's also dead.
she's dead. So he literally went there to save everyone and saved no one.
Everyone's dead at this point, and he's like freaking out. So he just takes his fucking 2 gas canisters and
And he
runs.
like dumps them into the lake and like throws them in the lake and then like lights the lake on fire.
And then
The little girl
shows up. Mary.
Mary shows up, and she's like like, what are you doing? Like, why are you doing this and everything? And then he I guess reacts to her and like plunges the cross into her chest, and then the demonic voice starts saying, "You can never kill me. You can never kill me."
And then the
and then like it goes into the water, and then like you see the little girl's like body on fire. And as it's still saying like, "You can never, I will never die. I will be alive forever." And like he's like thinking it's done. He's just hanging out on the side of the lake, and I'm like, that can't.
He starts walking away
And then a fucking demon hand just
with like seaweed on it.
grabs him by the fucking ankle and just drags him into the fucking lake. End movie.
The movie, he is underwater for literally 1 millisecond, and they roll credits.
Everyone dies in this movie.
Yeah, everyone.
Except for 2 cops, the son, and the caretaker.
Who's just gonna live her life.
But like, that is a fucking mean movie.
Everyone dies. No one is
Like
safe.
our hero goes back to save the day with his supercross and fucking can't even like.
No, it's not enough.
He literally saves no one.
Everyone
this witch
dies.
is so powerful that like nothing can stop her.
Everyone dies.
But I kind of like that.
Yeah.
You know why? Because we have another unstoppable movie fucking monster like villain.
Yeah, you can't quit. You can't stop it.
You can't defeat evil.
You can't win. Even if you lock it in the water again.
Even if you have a kaboom cross.
It's still gonna get you.
The fucking can kaboom doors. I'm sad that we only kaboomed one door, but
That was the most epic shit.
but you know what? If he kaboomed too many doors, I think it would have become hokey. So I'm glad they only did one.
It's only an hour 20 minutes. They had
Like you said, like they were on cocaine when they made this movie, and I guarantee they kind of were. They're like, okay, well, like what are we gonna do? I think it'd be really cool if we like explode the door. How are we gonna do it though? Let's have him like just like use the cross as a hammer and just like hammer the fucking like
unexpectedly.
the power of Christ into that door and just kaboom it. Just like set a bunch of fucking just have it explode.
That was the coolest shit.
The power of Christ compels that door.
That was the coolest shit.
Yeah, it really did.
I
It's
cannot.
So cool.
I can't believe I saw that.
We witnessed that.
Yeah, I'm still in awe.
I know.
I'm shocked.
Well, like, man, there's some brutal deaths in this. The effects are actually really
Oh,
good.
the effects are great. There's no shortage of blood.
There's like some mystery around what the witch looks like, which I love. Like, I don't. Sometimes when they show a movie like Monster or whatever, it's just not satisfying. Like you just are expecting more. With like like with Freddy Krueger, it's like they did a good job with that. If you have like an iconic character like that, that's fine.
Yeah.
Or like Jason Voorhees or the Michael Myers doesn't you never see his face.
No.
So you never know what he actually looks like.
Yeah.
But like I just like that they chose not to reveal this witch.
Yeah. All we get is
It's more effective. You just see her hands, you just know that she's like a demon.
we just get some sick ass blue lighting.
Yes. You just know she's a demon, and that's all you need to know.
That's it.
You know she worships Satan, and Satan made her a demon. That's all you need to know about this movie.
And people die.
And people die. And it's a great slasher movie where like a witch just fucking wrecks everyone.
It's this thing. It's pure entertainment. It's pure
Really is.
entertainment.
And it's like nonstop. There's like I said, there's like good 20 minutes where they're kind of setting everything up. And there's even intriguing stuff happening there. But then it gets right back into the deaths.
But then what's happening. You know what's gonna happen.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, they have to set up why it's happening, and now it's like, okay, we've explained why it's happening. Now roll the fucking death reel.
Now you know everyone's gonna die.
Now you know, and it's just like ramping up for this like epic conclusion where like everyone gets wrecked.
Yeah, and then little did we know that when you say everyone, we do mean everyone.
Every single person in the movie except for 4 people die.
Yeah.
Everyone you see on screen will die.
Yeah, all the big characters are gone.
Including Sassy Detective, which I was sad.
Yeah.
I mean, you never really get to see what happened to him. But you can assume all the other brutal deaths, something pretty fucking awful happened to him as well.
Yeah.
This
is epic.
This movie is just great. I mean, it's a good, just supernatural slasher film.
It's pure entertainment. It's an hour and 20-some minutes of just...
When it doesn't waste your time. It goes, it knows what it is, it just does its job, and then you're just left feeling satisfied because you just watched a bunch of people... I don't get why watching these kind of movies just satisfies our lizard brains. It just does.
Because
we just like slasher movies.
Horror is fun, and fake movie deaths are fun.
They are.
It's fun. It's always going to be fun.
It will never not be fun.
And absolute just lizard brain appeal nonsense. It's perfect. I love it.
Yeah, so if you have the chance, if you see it anywhere, I think you can rent it on Prime.
Pretty sure you can.
Or buy it if you really like it. I might buy it actually.
It looks great in HD.
It's really this was a nice film print.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, it was really good. It was really well done. I feel like there's a remaster out there somewhere.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it's worth a watch. It really is. If you love slasher films, especially having to do with supernatural shit, this is your jam because it's good. It's so entertaining.
It's pure entertainment.
literally an hour 20 minutes. It could have been longer. It could have been like
They could have had more deaths.
they could have had more deaths because the deaths were like, well, what you look for in a slasher are the deaths creative, and
Yeah.
they were, and are they like, is the story like good enough to like hold up like why this thing is killing?
Is the story good enough to hold that for an hour and a half?
Right, just to keep you like engaged. And honestly, they get the story out of the way pretty quickly, and then you just like watch people just get wrecked.
Yeah.
So there's a reason it's all happening, and it makes sense, but you don't care about that at that point because people are just dying.
Because you're watching people get spooked and killed.
But you're never like confused on why the thing is doing what it's doing, right?
No,
It
because
just hates people on its land.
because evil.
It's as simple as that. A witch just cursed everyone and the land, and everyone dies. That's all you need.
Simple.
It is simple. It's great.
And that's what you want. You don't. It's a slasher. You want that.
You want a simple story that kind of glues it all together, and then you just want cool deaths.
That's what you get.
And that's what you get with this movie. Superstition just... It kind of exceeded my expectations. I did not know that this... I mean, God, 82 is going to be hard, like, to, like, decide, like...
Don't worry, Will. We got even more.
I know.
We still got more.
I know. I can't... This is, like, one of the best... These are just, like... It's, like, banger after banger. Like,
This is what we waited for.
It's just, like, so many good movies.
This is why we waited to get into the 80s, because this
like,
is...
God damn it.
This is my B-movie heaven.
80s is showing off strong, dude. Like, these are, like, really good quality, like... Honestly, I can't even call them B movies because they're, like... They're more than that.
Well, they're... You know, it's entertainment. It's people... Whatever they were... However much cocaine they did... They knew how to make a fucking entertaining-ass movie.
And they did, and that's exactly what they achieved. And, like...
No pretension, no bullshit, just entertainment.
Mm-hmm. And honestly, in a slasher movie, that's all you need.
That's what I come for.
It's not a high-concept horror movie. It's not, like, gonna wow you with its story. It does what it needs to do. It gets the job done, and it's an entertaining hour and 20 minutes.
It's an hour. It's an hour and 20 minutes that you feel happy about.
Yes.
Shitty to pretty.
Dude,
I mean,
I gotta rate this high. Like,
dude, come on.
I mean,
we know.
I know we're generous on this shit. Okay,
I know.
get it. Like,
I know.
I know. I mean, honestly, for me, I hate to say like a 10 out of 10, but I think it is just.
Listen, it has to be a 10 out of 10.
It's just like entertainment value alone, which is how we rate this, and I know we always say this every single episode.
But that's what it is.
But that's what it is. We go off of entertainment value, and holy shit, it's worth its weight in gold in entertainment value.
It hits the sweet spot.
It does, and I honestly like. I know this sounds fucked up, but I like how brutal like it is.
It's a horror movie, Will.
I just like how like no one is safe and no one survives.
It's a horror film. Like it should ideally it should be brutal.
Yeah, I mean that's what you come to horror movies for, right?
It should be horrifying. It should get something out of you. And if people are dying, it should be unpleasant.
Yes.
And that's what I like. And my lizard brain also appreciates it because I appreciate the creativity.
Oh, so do I.
That goes into that. Because, it could just be, you could just make a boring movie where, people get shot or stabbed off screen.
Or just get, create one of those boring horror movies where just people get, like, scared and then no one dies.
Yeah.
And then roll credits.
Like one person dies off camera. Yeah.
If that. There's some horror movies where literally not a single soul dies.
Yeah, people just get spooked.
Yep, people just get scared and then they leave.
Or you could be a man of culture like us and watch horror movies where literally everyone dies.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Literally everyone.
You're just like brutal movies where like no one survives.
Which has been the trend. Even the Slayer, which had way less deaths, still 99% of the cast died.
Yeah.
That's That's what you want.
Yeah, exactly. It's what we need. Okay, our lizard brains are satisfied with that.
I'm just like, deaths, yes. Blood, gore, yes, good.
For watching a slasher, death, gore, slasher, deaths,
Deaths and lit soundtracks and blue lights.
That's all we need to satisfy our lizard brain. That's why we like B movies, because they do that.
Nighttime scenes with blue lights in the background.
Sometimes that's all you need.
Listen, what else is there in life?
There really isn't anything else. But yeah, I mean that's all I gotta say about Superstition.
I think that's it.
Good ass movie. Go watch it.
Please. Watch it.
Go support this movie.
Watch it.
Because this deserves a cult following as well.
Yeah, you need to watch this. It's October.
Yes.
Listen, it's fucking October.
It's October, and I, like every horror movie, I'm going to reiterate, like, you need to go watch these movies if it's good. Like, if they're good. Go back on our catalog and just watch all the horror movies we've rated really well.
Yeah, well, and we've had a lot.
Or just, like, find the episodes where we go from, like, year to year.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of our best of the best is horror movies. So
yeah, because
we've had some action movies in there, but a lot of them are horror movies because we're horror movie junkies.
Because we're junkies, and let me tell you, sometimes these little gems just.
Well, they're not afraid to take it to places, which is great.
Yeah, this is gonna be a hard year.
It's gonna be a hard year to decide best of the best. I really am gonna have a hard time. I'm not gonna lie. But anyway, until that day comes, we will say goodbye. And this has been Will.
This has been Alex.
And we will talk to you all later.
Bye-bye.
You doomed us all, churchman.
You doomed us all, beer boy.
Doomed us all, seltzer man.
Seltzer man.
With your goddamn low-calorie seltzers.
Not low calorie. Yeah.